volunteers and the medical team from Fuding Hospital prepares for the upcoming free clinic. Dharma Masters from the Jing Si Abode visits Tzu Chi Hawaii Chapter to encourage the local volunteers. Welcome to Dai Headlines. I'm Simon Gan. Thank you for joining us. In China, Fuding Tzu Chi volunteers collaborate with Fuding Hospital every year to host a free clinic. Volunteers and the medical team went there 1 week in advance to issue free clinic coupons and also clean the venue.
我们现在发一人券的目的就是这个都要把它记下来，然后如果问的时候问他哪里不舒服，待会他这样我们只要打勾，然后或者说他还有什么需求，我们可以在这上面再写一下，知道了。
The annual free clinic jointly hosted by Fuding Hospital and Tzu Chi will be held on the first weekend of December this year. Volunteers and medical staff visit the villages 1 week in advance.
Medical costs are very expensive and the condition is still not good. There's no way to go to Fuding because it takes dozens of dollars to go there and return. We don't have money.
The inconvenience of villagers to seek medical care was revealed in the care of volunteers. This free clinic is expected to serve 500 villagers in Nanzhen Village, Aoyou Village, and Hougang Village, and will provide more than 10 medical specialties.
At this place, there are no medical resources. A free clinic is good for those seniors who experience inconvenience when seeking medical care.
Apart from issuing coupons for the free clinic, volunteers also clean the venue in advance.
It is necessary to clean the site as the villagers come here to seek free medical care once a year. It is a rare opportunity for them, so we need to make them feel comfortable.
First, we need to make the whole environment clean. When our villagers come here, they can feel the environment is so beautiful and clean, making them feel at ease in seeking medical care.
Among the people who are giving, there are 10 medical staff who are usually busy working.
We as doctors are meant to save lives. This actually matches Tzu Chi's philosophy. If we have time, we do good deeds, which is very normal.
Teaching my child this concept when he's small and encourage him to contribute his efforts so that he will have this awareness of helping others.
The volunteers and medical team are dedicated to giving and hoping that the free clinic on weekends can help those from 3 villages get the proper physical and mental care.
It's the first time Tzu Chi volunteers have held an aid distribution at a temple in Phanaket province, Laos. The distribution was a success and the volunteers even inspired the local residents to practice their compassion. Let's take a look.
In the early morning, pedestrians and cars passed by Sombambon Sun Temple, hustling. Amidst the sound of the drum, city volunteers distribute aid supplies in Phanaket province for the first time.
The ancient temple with 300 years of history has stood here and witnessed the changes of time. Today, it bears witness to Tzu Chi volunteers traveling from afar to help the flood-affected residents get through the tough time.
This ancient temple, which was built in 1681, is the religious center of the local residents. It has not been through much renovation for the past 300 years, retaining its original look. After the flood this year, the ancient temple was also affected.
Tzu Chi volunteers have come here to donate supplies. We're very grateful that you chose to distribute supplies here because this is a very important temple in the area.
The volunteers believe everything was arranged well. They recall that in the past, they could not find a suitable supply distribution venue.
Back then, I prayed sincerely, saying that we are distributing aid supplies for the affected residents of Laos. Please help us find a suitable venue. Then we quickly found a great venue.
It seems to be an affinity that waited for 100 years. The volunteers and villagers have tacit understandings.
After alleviating suffering, we pass down Dharma teachings. These people are willing to do recycling, become volunteers or donating members. It is great.
The distributions have been carried out successfully. With compassion and kindness, the volunteers will continue to help the sick and poor in this country.
In the aftermath of floods in Laos, Tzu Chi volunteers from 7 countries have worked together to hold aid distributions. Although they have a language barrier with the local villagers, but the love and care from the volunteers are deeply felt by them.
On the third day of Tzu Chi's aid distribution in Laos, the volunteers need to distribute supplies to more than 200 families in 8 villages in one morning.
The biggest challenge is to distribute supplies every hour. We distribute the supplies 4 times at 8, 9, 10, and 11 o'clock.
With the use of technology, they speed up the process of checking recipients' identity. However, for the food traffic flow to be smooth, the volunteers must work as a team.
To work as a team, oftentimes, we follow the guidelines given by the team leader. Everyone tolerates each other.
We can see that cooperation and division of work is how everyone is working well together.
With harmony as their principle, volunteers from 7 countries could communicate well with one another despite a language barrier and different habits.
The people here are very passionate. They will do things according to our instructions, although we have language barrier, but we can communicate by gesturing.
They also complement each other. When they notice there aren't enough chairs, the bags and cardboard boxes are put into good use.
Later, when the local residents come, they can sit here and wait.
The volunteers try to level the ground that is uneven. Seizing the opportunity to give and carry out the aid distribution successfully is everyone's consensus.
Before I came here, I already had a cough and sore throat, but since I'm here, I must do my best to help out.
3 traditional Chinese medicine doctors from Tzu Chi hospitals safeguard the volunteers' health and also participate in the aid distributions, gaining much.
It's true we may have language barriers, but when I deliver the gifts with my best wishes, I get positive feedback through their eye contact.
As I made eye contact, I saw a lot of smiles, tens of thousands of smiles.
We must count our blessings as we witness other people's suffering. Therefore, in daily life, we should learn to be grateful.
Does climate change affect food supply? The answer is yes. During the latest climate change conference hosted by the United Nations, a side panel was held to bring awareness to this issue and how changing a plant-based diet can help the planet be more sustainable. Let's take a look.
The United Nations Conference on Climate Change is currently in session, and there is a side panel directed at the topic of creating a sustainable and healthy food system.
And then they change our food system.
There are 800 million people in the world who are starving. According to findings by the UN's Food and Agriculture Organization, changes must be made to curb wasting food.
We cannot continue in the way we use food and we consume food and we waste food. So we have to be more efficient and smarter in the way that we're producing food, starting with us.
This side panel features like-minded speakers from ProVeg, Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, Tzu Chi Foundation, and more, reminding global influencers the need to make the change.
I also want to remind that, canteens are serving vast amount of foods, like tons and kilos of food every day. So if we have more sustainable, more plant-based menus in the canteens, the impact will simply be multiplied very fast because there is thousands of people eating every day there.
ProVeg International is an organization that has long helped mid to large-scale businesses in Europe make a smooth transition from a meat-based society to a plant-based society. This idea is one that many in the audience agree with.
Come out to say one of the biggest things you can do from a health perspective and from a climate change perspective is to shift towards a plant-based diet. And it's a first step towards a more equitable planetary system where people can live, even with an increased population, within the planetary boundaries.
Climate change is directly impacting global food supply, and before drastic measures need to be enforced, we can make sustainable improvements by switching to a plant-based diet and not wasting food.
December 22nd marks Mother's Day in Indonesia. Tzu Chi volunteers went to a special school to hold activities to celebrate this special day. The students here are mentally or physically challenged and are mostly from impoverished families. With the guidance of the volunteers, the students wash their mother's feet and express their gratitude.
The child respectfully washes his mother's feet to express his filial piety. Although the child cannot hear or express himself through words, the mother still feels deeply touched.
I am grateful that Tzu Chi volunteers have come to the school. Although my child cannot hear, he understands the importance of filial piety.
Tanda kasihnya dari anak kepada orang tua.
This activity is very good, especially for physically or mentally challenged children. We not only teach them, but we ask them to experience it.
There are 60 mentally or physically challenged students, mostly from impoverished families at the special school. As Mother's Day is approaching, city volunteers held a gratitude event.
Bagaimana cinta kasih ibu terhadap anaknya?
The motherly love, especially for children with special needs, is doubled.
2 kali lipat, 3 kali lipat daripada anak-anak yang biasa ya.
By teaching the children to be grateful, the volunteers have given the mothers support while giving encouragement to students with special needs.
This year marks the 30th anniversary for the Tzu Chi U.S. headquarters. A caring team organized by the Masters from Jing Si Abode and also the staff members of Tzu Chi Foundation went to the United States again, with Hawaii being the first stop.
The 4 Dharma Masters from Jing Si Abode came to Tzu Chi Hawaii Chapter. Volunteers welcomed them happily.
We expect to bring the blessings from Master Zheng Yan to here. Thank you all Tzu Chi brothers and sisters in the United States. Of course, in the whole cultivation class, we'll not leave Jing's lineage and Tzu Chi's Dharma wisdom.
Hawaii is known as the paradise on earth. Looking back at the establishment of the chapter in 1996, we must not forget the core of teaching the rich to help the poor.
There must be Tzu Chi in paradise. Of course, we Tzu Chi volunteers will go to the places of disasters, but in the paradise, teaching the rich to help the poor is also very important. Hawaii must have Tzu Chi.
We have more and more English-speaking volunteers joining Tzu Chi Hawaii Chapter. We will have great development.
After the caring journey in October for the 30th anniversary of the United States headquarters, the Dharma Masters start their journey again to visit different chapters to remind them to adhere to Dharma teachings and remember the inspiration of the past.
A house in Kaohsiung, Taiwan, caught fire due to a short circuit. The fire burned down the 2nd and the 3rd floor of the building. But fortunately, nobody was injured. Tzu Chi volunteers not only delivered emergency cash to the affected family, but also helped clean up the debris in the house, bringing warmth to this family.
Heavy smoke and fire continued to come out from the 2nd floor, so the neighbors immediately contacted the homeowner.
I wondered where the fire was burning, so I came out and saw the smoke everywhere.
Fortunately, the firefighters were able to put out the fire quickly, but the 2nd and the 3rd floors have been destroyed. Tzu Chi volunteers immediately came to present emergency cash.
I asked the grandma to buy some clothes and daily supplies immediately because the 2nd and 3rd floors were destroyed.
We welcome people's care about us, and people are very nice to us. I'm very touched.
To help Grandma Huang's family return to their normal lives, over 30 volunteers came in the early morning to clean their home.
It's not easy to tidy because many items are heavy and also wet since they've been sprayed with water.
The 2nd floor has been used by the homeowner's son to store the recyclables he picked from outside. Volunteers from a different area heard about the fire and also came to help.
Life is impermanent. I'm upset to see the incident because it is ad hoc and during working hours, so not many people could come to help.
After the fire on December 3rd, nobody was injured, so it's quite fortunate. I want to thank Tzu Chi too.
Many people came together and quickly cleaned away all the debris, allowing the survivors to rebuild their home quickly.
Sending warmth ahead of winter in Taichung, Tzu Chi volunteers recently visited a care recipient in Shigang district to help repair his door and window. Volunteers also brought a bed for the care recipient's mother to sleep on, as she has been sleeping in a chair for quite some time. Here's more.
The store hasn't opened correctly in such a long time, but thanks to these skillful hands, it is now fully functional and operational. The windows which face the streets are also getting the long overdue TLC they need.
The windows are broken, and when the wind blows, it enters the house. We want them to be warm, so we're fixing the windows.
This care recipient in Sigang District received home cleaning help last month from the volunteers. And during that time, they noticed that the windows and door were broken, on top of which the mother does not have a bed to sleep on and has been sleeping in a chair for a while. Knowing it's only going to get colder, volunteers came to fix the windows and door and gave them a bed.
睡哪一边？睡这里哈。
你今天准备了哪些东西来？
我们现在准备了一个床垫，然后一个棉被，然后还有一个垫被这样子。
They not only cleaned up the home, but also taught the care recipient how to sort recyclables.
矿泉水的，纸箱，都放在一起。哦，你很厉害哦，你这要慢慢的来，以后都要懂得分类哦哈。
At the end of the year, Tzu Chi volunteers not only shower their care recipients with love, but also give them the most useful gifts to help them start the upcoming new year off with a bang.
89 students from Malaysia and Singapore attended the Chinese Language and Humanity Camp held in Tzu Chi University to experience various cultural activities and also the learning environments in Taiwan for 2 weeks. Let's take a look.
The students put the seeds into the soil and shape them into a sphere. They are making seed bombs.
种子炸弹呢，它的那个土跟它的种子能够在这个地方改善它的整个环境。
Imitate a bird dropping with a seed bomb. After these spheres are thrown out, the seeds will land and grow. This is an agriculture education from the Tzu Chi Senior High School.
Our biomedical experiment, our Vietnamese language, or our tour with study on the East Coast are excellent courses that can give the students very good experiences. Then they can take it back to Singapore or Malaysia and share it with their friends.
Organized by the Chinese Language Center of the Tzu Chi University, the Chinese Language and Humanity Camp for Chinese Singaporeans and Chinese Malaysians is in Taiwan for 2 weeks to have courses at the Tzu Chi Senior High School and Tzu Chi University. The students also learn about schedule management and teamwork.
I learned to have self-discipline, to be independent and live without my parents.
You must use what you learn in the daily life and take care of the seed. Take care of your heart, so someday the seed can grow into a big tree.
These students are in grade 9 or 10 and are willing to come to a different environment to make friends and experience a new culture and multiple stimulations. It will bring more chances and imaginations to their futures.
Rainwater samples collected in the Rocky Mountains reveal plastic particles. Is it possible that plastic rain is spreading globally? What kind of invisible substance are falling from the sky? According to the latest survey of National Acid Rain Monitoring Report, commissioned by the Environmental Protection Agency in National Central University, rainwater at 14 monitoring stations across Taiwan saw elevated pollution levels, and the area with the highest acid rain concentration was Hsinchu.
There's a report about the Alps and snowdrifts in the Arctic with icebergs having plastic particles in the snow. So this led many to infer that it is transmitted from the air, and everyone started panic. Air transmission requires particles to be very small, with plastic particles measured in the Arctic and Alps has to have a diameter on the micrometer level.
北极啊，或阿尔卑斯山所测到的塑胶微粒，它的直径大概都是在应该叫做 micrometer 等级。
Plastics are a product of human civilization, which allows us to enjoy convenience in everyday life. We generally don't have to bear the consequences as plastics are difficult to decompose in the natural environment. Now human existence has let it exist in the land and the sea where we live. The waters between California and Hawaii exist in an area which is called the Pacific Garbage Belt. According to the latest research, it occupied an area of 1.6 million square kilometers, which is equivalent to 44 times Taiwan.
Plastic particles will absorb into the environment, where some fat-soluble pollutants can enter the human body. At first, it was because shellfish filter water and some tiny particles gather in their gut.
The earliest found accumulation in the ocean of tiny plastic fragments occurred in 1972 by Massachusetts researchers who found the North Atlantic Ocean Sargasso Sea had many plastic particles that were 0.5 centimeters in diameter. Now reports from the North Atlantic to the North Pacific and even the last pure land on Earth has plastic snow and plastic rain occurring on the top of the Rocky Mountains. Plastic particles are now spread across the Earth.
If its particles are small enough, reports show that plastic particles are approximately 25 to 100 microns. Particles below 100 microns can float in the air, and if plastic particles have such a size range, they can float in the air. Then if it rains, of course, the plastic particles in the air will be washed down. So it will be raining plastic particles.
At present, the Taiwan Environmental Protection Agency has 77 air pollutant and 14 acid rain monitoring stations. Also, Taiwan water purification plants have also set up plastic particle monitoring stations.
我们从104年的大概全国是22。
From 2015, the whole country had about 22 micrograms, which dropped to 17.5 micrograms last year. And if we look at this year's data to August, the amount has dropped to 16 micrograms.
今年到8月的时候，已经又降到了16微克。
The issue whether airborne plastic particles in Taiwan have yet to be included in monitoring by relevant government units in Taiwan has been raised. A number of government agencies and academic institutions are already aware of this issue.
在检测那个塑胶微粒都是一个技术上，是有一些
Detecting plastic particles is technically advanced technology. Measuring it in water and food is not easy. There are many methods which must become commonplace because doing this analysis is not so easy. I believe the concentration in the air is very, very low, so how do we discuss volume? Today we're still doing PM 2.5 tests, and after collecting it, we're trying to distinguish which are plastic particles and what has been emitted in the exhaust from cars. This is also a technical problem in our detection.
汽车排放废气，对，所以这个有些检测上的技术上的问题。
An artificial product can last a century, which is improperly recycled, can continuously be crushed in the environment, turning to dust before the naked eye, and then float in the air, and eventually enter our air, water, and food. It will eventually come back to us and have more consequences for future generations.
Tzu Chi volunteers collaborated with doctors from various countries to hold a free clinic in Xochimilco, Mexico, to help those in need. We'll leave you with these images. Thank you and goodbye.